articles that I thought were interesting. This one here, Google bought Mandiant recently. Mandiant, the main software, the security company that's responsible for our textbook in this malware analysis class and also the incident response class. I'm following the Mandiant program, and I wondered how they're going to do it. And they said they were going to integrate it with Google Cloud to secure Google Cloud. And I've been waiting to see what would happen to that. And this is Kevin Mandiant explaining what happened. So Google Cloud is now offering a bunch of new security services. One of them is Chronicle. And Chronicle gives them an SIEM like Splunk and a SOAR platform. And SOAR, I don't have any hands-on experience with SOAR platforms. SOAR is security orchestration, automation, and response. And the orchestration part, I think, means you control a whole fleet of virtual machines, which pretty much means Kubernetes. But I'm not sure about that. But the automation and response, I think, is pretty much what Velociraptor does. So anyway, it would be nice if I could, if they had some kind of free trial of this or something, so we can try it with hands-on and see what it does. But they do have a website full of a lot of marketing material describing it in general terms, which is what you'd expect. You can detect things like DDoS attacks and other kinds of attacks and respond to them automatically. Of course, Zeek can already do that. Anyway, I'm sure it has a bunch of new features and it's prettier, so it'll be interesting to learn more about it. And it integrates with threat intelligence sources like VirusTotal. So it sounds pretty good. And there's more, something called confidential space, which will create some kind of secure container to handle encrypted data in memory without exposing it to the rest of the system. So that's a trusted execution environment and something called a container optimized OS. So it sounds kind of like they spin up a Docker container just to handle the encrypted data and only spit out the amount of information you need, so it seems like an alternative to homomorphic encryption. And probably very interesting. So anyway, all this stuff sounds pretty good. And a supply chain security product called Software Delivery Shield that will try to protect all the dependencies of your software, which is something very important. And we certainly need more good solutions in that area. So I'm hoping there'll be more coming out about this, demonstrations, and perhaps some way we can use some of it and see how it works. This is a very interesting, very simple attack. There's a thing called the mark of the web, and we've seen it. If you download an executable, it won't run. It gets a mark in its properties sheet that blocks it until you go clear that mark. That thing is called the mark of the web. So this file has been downloaded. And there is a simple way to bypass it. If you zip a file and download the zip and unzip it, the file inside, even though it's an executable, no longer has the mark of the web. So that's a simple bypass. And I say people are using this now. Someone says the O is mainly developing workflows to handle various events. Well, I've seen things like that. You mean the orchestration? Oh, that's what orchestration is, SOAR is. Yes, I think I have seen that now that you mentioned it. I forgot because I didn't think that was very interesting. But still, that might be good. Sort of a step up from firewall rules is to have a series of, to have a workflow to explain what you want to do in response to certain alerts. Good, thank you. That makes more sense than it being orchestrating containers. Okay, good. I have seen that now that you mention it. All right, so they have new superconducting magnet thrusters, which are sort of interesting, but what's really interesting about them is these are high temperature superconductors. Not room temperature, but it sounds like about liquid nitrogen temperature. But the point is, they say high temperature superconductors can make stronger magnets than low temperature superconductors, which I've never heard before. All the big magnets I used to use were all low temperature superconductors. We used to see in use on NMR and such, so that's very interesting. So high temperature superconductors have appeared to come of age. High temperature meaning, of course, you still have to get to minus 296 degrees centigrade. But that's a lot warmer than the old ones that had to be cooled by liquid helium to get cold enough to work. You can get a digital license plate in California if you want one now. It'll cost like $20 a month or several $100s and look like this. and I'm unaware of any reason why you would want to do this except to hack it. But anyway, now it's made legal. They had a pilot program and they decided it's fine, so everybody can get this. As far as I know, the only reason to get it is because you think this color matches your beautiful car more. But anyway, I don't know if you can have a digital license yet, driver's license. I know some places do have that. You have like an Apple Wallet, you put a license on your phone and use that instead of your physical driver's license. So a lot of people have been complaining about San Francisco becoming irrelevant as everybody flees to like lower taxes and stuff. And this shows, I think, the truth about that. This is the investment in venture and capital investment, first half of 2022 and the change from 2021. And as you see, this is what they're getting upset about. We have a 6% drop in venture capital in San Francisco. But even with that 6% drop, we've got far more than all the rest put together. What's up?
Hi, are you Sam?
Yeah.
They told me to ask you if there's like a CNET labs, computer lab.
Not regularly. Sometimes I have some students that open Science 214 in the other corner, but I don't think they're here tonight, and they don't come every night.
Got it.
So you might find it open like 7 o'clock a few nights, but there's no regular schedule.
Okay.
Good. All right.
Thank you.
Yep. Can they blind license plate readers? Well, now that would be fun. That would be fun if they could, although I doubt that. So anyway, it has dropped a little, although not as much as Boston and Southern California, but we're still the elephant in the room as far as startup activity, and that's certainly what I find. This is probably extremely useful for students. I'm going to put this in the chat. This is a list of all the training platforms running capture the flag contests, and I know a lot of these are very good. I didn't know about all these, but Crypto Hack is one of my favorites. It's in my cryptography class. Crypto Hack, CMD Challenge, that's interesting. I never knew that one. Exploit Education, Defend the Web. There's just a lot of these places to learn various cybersecurity skills online, so I recommend checking that out. So CNN is now selling NFTs, which is what usually happens with a big established corporation. They are so slow to respond that they don't even move until 6 months after it's over, which is certainly what's happening here. I mean, NFTs have fallen to like 1% of their previous value. I think anybody issuing NFTs now is completely missed the boat, unless they come back. Anyway, you can buy NFTs of CNN shows. They apparently think they're going to make money with that, and I think they'll be lucky if they recover whatever money they spent to build this website. But anyway, we'll see. This was very interesting. I'll throw this one in the chat too. This was a real world exploit delivered with a drone, and it was pretty interesting. This guy, they found unusual activity on their internal network. And so he found that a user's MAC address had been cloned. They were using MAC address authentication on their wireless network. Yeah, I see someone in the money lost on CNN Plus. Yeah, well, CNN Plus was because they switched leaders, and the new leader just canceled the initiatives of the old leader. So CNN is in big trouble, of course. Cable news is declining, and they're failing to move into some new areas. So they're trying crazy things like the blockchain or something. They're trying to find some way to avoid the shrinking of their market, and not apparently succeeding. Anyway, so they found a MAC address was being cloned, but that user was also logged in from several miles away. So they found, they used signal tracing and a fluke system and found a drone on the roof where someone had flown a drone in with wireless equipment on it to connect to their wireless network with a Wi-Fi pineapple on it, which is a standard hacking tool you can buy that does a bunch of wireless attacks automatically. So there were 2 drones up there, and it had a Raspberry Pi, a small laptop, a modem, and another Wi-Fi device on one of them, and the other one had a Wi-Fi pineapple. So they just flew standard wireless hacking devices onto the roof and hacked into the network from there. And apparently, they broke and got stuck there or something, which is why they caught them. But anyway, that's an interesting attack. It reminds me of one that got a lot of noise at DEF CON about 8 years ago. Someone found a new way to hack a company network, because at that time, maybe 10 years ago, everybody used unencrypted Wi-Fi at their company because they thought nobody could connect if they didn't get close to the building. And what you would do is take an iPhone, run a packet sniffer on it, jailbreak it, run something like Wireshark on it, or probably TCP dump, then put in an extended battery pack, then package it all up and mail it to the company to a non-existent office. And it would go to the company, it would sit in their mailroom for several days before it got sent back, full of data. And everybody was floored to see that could totally happen. How could we prevent that? We get packages all the time. The mailroom just takes them. They send them back. So the answer, of course, is you have to have good authentication on your wireless network so somebody running a sniffer can't get in. But anyway, same thing here. They didn't have enough security on the wireless network, and they didn't consider the threat of using drones. So I think there's a whole lot of things that drones are going to do. That's why they're so popular. In fact, there was another article I saw a while ago that said they're having huge trouble with airplanes now because during the pandemic, air traffic went way down, so they've laid off all the pilots, and a bunch of them just retired. Now they're trying to bring them back, but a bunch of them don't want to come back, and there's no longer a pool of pilots you can hire because they came from the military, because you have to have something like 10,000 hours of flying experience to become a pilot. And nobody can pay for that in training, so the only people that can get that are in the military. And the military has almost no pilots anymore because they use drones for everything. And time spent flying a drone does not count. So there's a technology problem there. And they're having, that's why a small airline went broke. And somebody like Delta or something said, we'll hire every pilot immediately, no interview, no nothing. Any pilot there, any certified pilot, we'll just hire you right away. They're desperate. So, all right, I think that's enough of the news. And let me stop this one.